So welcome to another day in Kinshasa BS. This is literally what I'm wearing. I'm wearing sleeved jumpsuit. That's what I'm wearing. And apparently that is not good enough to get into a government building here. So I literally cannot go into the government building because this is what I'm wearing. It's not strapless. It's not like a tiny strap. This is what I'm wearing. And I can't get in because they said I'm showing too much skin. Yeah. Yo, allow me to rant my rant. I know I'll be doing these, but allow me to rant my rant. Let me tell you what's happening to me in Congo. Over the last couple of weeks, what I've been observing is I am a very assertive person. I know what I can do. I know what I cannot do. I know who I am as a person. And honestly, that is very intimidating for a lot of African men, especially older African men. The patriarchy. So in Congo especially, like when I come into a room, a lot of times people are like, oh, it's just like a girl. And then I open my mouth and I'm like asking questions and, pressing for real answers outside of that's how we do things. And people are automatically, and I say people, I mean African men in the Congo, are automatically like put off, like, oh no, why are you asking all of these questions? And I'm like, because you saying that's the way it is not a sufficient answer. You understand? And honestly, it has been once when I was getting vaccinated, like the doctor literally was like, oh, you ask a lot of questions. And I'm like, aren't we all supposed to be asking questions about a vaccine that is still pretty new? And oh my God, hold on, give me 1 second. Let me wipe my glasses. I'm so Secondly, are we just supposed to be blindly following and just blindly taking something because you said so or because the CDC said so? No. So I had questions. I was like, what is the efficacy? What is the side effects that you're seeing in the country? Do you have any information on that? And it's just like, oh, you ask a lot of questions, huh? And I'm like, yeah, I am a curious person. And once again, this is a brand new vaccine. I'm trying to get as much information. You are the medical professional here administering the vaccine. Maybe you would know a thing or two about it. Oh, you ask a lot of questions. Oh my God. Okay. Eh. And that's honestly code for you're a loud woman, period. And then the second instance was I was taking my brother to figure out like a bunch of stuff at one of the official buildings here. And I'm asking questions about like, okay, so can you please explain the procedure? Oh, just read the paper. I'm like, I understand what's on the paper. I'm trying to understand why this is the way things are. Because if I bring two documents that are the same thing as one, why do I need to still bring the one document where the two is sufficient? And they're like, no, we just want what's on the paper. I'm like, God, I understand you're a pencil pusher, but like a little bit more thought would really help. And it's not coming from like a cocky place or anything. It's just somebody who's trying to understand like, oh, I need a document that looks like this because this is what is best recognized by the government because of this, or this is what the government, you telling me because we said so? How does that give me any kind of understanding? How? So then the person I was talking to with my brother literally like pivots from looking at my brother and looks at me and he goes, you're very vocal, huh? And I'm like, we all know what that code for. That's code for you are loud. And honestly, I wasn't being loud. I'm even being like way more passionate on this video than I was in person because I was just like, oh, do you mind like explaining to me like why is it that these two documents would not be sufficient when they do the same thing as the one? And he's just like, oh, you're so vocal. And I'm just like, yes, I am. So do you have any answers to the questions? And literally he was just like, oh, wow, a woman who talks. And I'm just like, what kind of people have you been dealing with up until this point? So then bringing me to my wonderful third incident of literally just the last like 2-3 weeks. It's almost like an incident a week. Anyway, I'm now taking my brother to the bank, which happens to be in a government building. It's on the first floor of the government building. We get to the gate. The policeman literally does like a up-down look at me and he goes, you cannot come in. I said, why can I not come in? He said, what you're wearing cannot come in. I said, I'm not in like a short dress. I'm not in like a strapless top. He just goes, you can't come in. He can, but you can't come in. My brother is wearing just regular jeans, regular polo. That's it. He's not even dressed in like a suit, a tie, like nothing formal at all. Nikes. I am in like full out black and white jumpsuit. I'm wearing closed shoes. Like, oh no, the way you're dressed, you cannot come in here. I'm like, okay. Thank you, patriarchy, for determining what is and is not acceptable in terms of what a woman should look like. And honestly, it pisses me the hell off. Like, I am so freaking frustrated because everything is so superficial. Like, you don't know me. He didn't ask like, oh, what is your business in here? Like, you didn't know where I was even going. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if I was going to see like some minister and then you just are like, oh, you can't go in the building like this. It's like, so if I call the minister down now, he shames you here. You're a git man. You're out here trying to pull out power plays for what? So I'm gonna need y'all to keep praying for me because, you know, there's such a perception about people who go to school in the States or who have worked and lived in the States, especially women here, that I've found that is that, you know, they're like, oh, these aggressive know-it-all type of people. And in all honesty, what I found is that they're just people who are genuinely like used to having some type of order, some type of process that is understandable to them, right? Or understandable to the general public, because anyone can fly into a specific country and figure it out. Like, I flew into Tanzania. It was perfectly understandable. Everything was clear. I didn't feel the chaos. And you move to a place like the Congo where you don't really have as much clarity as you do in other places. And honestly, when you come in like seeking clarity, kind of being an assertive woman, a lot of times, guys, and it's not just me, a lot of times women are just, it's almost like you have to be put in your place when you're assertive and when you know yourself and when you know the material, like the content you're talking about. Men almost feel like they have to put you in your place, so you kind of know like, oh no, you're just a woman. You understand? Like, you do not have a voice, or your voice is not supposed to be this loud, or it's not supposed to be heard, or you're not supposed to be asking too many questions, or why can't you behave like those other women who are, you know, more subservient? And it's like, listen, if your thing is submission, sis, go for it, do your thing. And what is to say that like a woman who is assertive is not submissive? Like, you don't know my life. This is the one thing where it's like, it just to my core, you know, it's the basic understanding of like, you're a human being, I'm a human being. Let me seek to understand what it is you need before I just automatically pass judgment on you. And there's a lot of judgment passing. There's a lot of just like, oh, you have come, you've opened your mouth, this is what you sound like, I'm judging you. If it's from money, if it's from the clothes you wear, like the judgment is completely real, and they just take things so freaking far. Like, what if I had a meeting there? You know what I mean? Like, what if I had a meeting with somebody in that building that was going to be life-changing for me, and because of what that person deemed as like inappropriate looking, which is what, me showing an arm, that would have cost me an opportunity. What if it was an opportunity for somebody in the government? Like, these are the things where I honestly think people are so short-sighted, at least here in the Congo, that I've experienced so far, where it's like, good God in heaven, like, if we can just take a step back and just seek to be more understanding of people, just more of like, let me hear you out, let me hear what you have to say, and then let me take a step back as a person. Am I coming from a place of judgment? Am I coming from a place of bias? I understand we all come from a place of judgment and bias, but I still give you room to explain yourself. I still give you room to just allow somebody else to be a human being, to just allow somebody else to be themselves. And I just think there's such a perception of who a woman is supposed to be and what she's supposed to do and how she's supposed to behave here, that anybody deviating from that norm is automatically thwarted. Like, you automatically shut down, you automatically put down. And it's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to deal with. I wouldn't lie. Like, I ain't gonna cry on this video, but I'm just at the point where I'm just like, what is this? Like, is this even worth it? You know, like, is it worth the hassle of me having to like navigate systems that are like endemically so prejudiced against women, so prejudiced against assertive people, that like I have to like shrink myself so that I now come in the box or in the package that is more palatable to you? That doesn't sit well with me. I wasn't raised like that. I haven't like developed as a person like that. So I don't know. When I really say that y'all need to pray for me, like, I'm not exaggerating, because this is hard. This is really, really hard.